Good morning, America. Easter Sunday storms. More than 12 million people on alert in the central part of the country for tornadoes, heavy rain, and large hail. A slow-moving system with wide-ranging impacts from Texas to the heartland.
Easter Sunday celebrations for worshipers across the world.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buona Pasqua.
The Pope making an appearance as crowds fill St. Peter's Square in Vatican City for Easter Mass.
Deportation showdown, the latest action overnight by the Trump administration and its request to the Supreme Court involving a group of Venezuelan migrants, plus that dissent released overnight from Justices Alito and Thomas.
Pleading her case, so-called doomsday mom Lori Vallow Daybell's trial heading toward a close.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have been charged with a crime.
Daybell charged with conspiracy to murder her then-estranged husband. How she's defending herself.
Playoff fever, the come-from-behind victory for the Knicks.
It's a fourth-quarter avalanche for the Knicks.
An overtime thriller for Denver. The Pacers top Milwaukee, and Doncic does his best.
At the buzzer.
But it wasn't enough. All the highlights ahead.
Star Wars celebration. We're live in Japan for the big gathering. Actor Hayden Christensen dropping big news, returning for Ahsoka's Season 2.
Just the scope and scale of Season 2, I think, is going to be pretty epic.
Plus, the cast of Andor talks about their final season, why they wound up in stitches.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America. On this Sunday, we're all over the place. We're excited about Star Wars. Ricky Martin.
I started singing Living La Vida Loca for some reason.
Why not? It's going to be that kind of day. Fantastic playoff action overnight, by the way, in the NBA, and much more ahead on that. Also, happy Easter to those who celebrate.
Yeah, happy Easter to you. We're going to be going live to Rome for the Easter celebrations there. Pope Francis already surprising the faithful, appearing at St. Peter's Square for an Easter Sunday blessing.
Yes, a beautiful surprise for so many. But we begin with the severe weather threat here at home this holiday. From Texas to Illinois, damaging wind and tornadoes are possible. ABC News meteorologist Greg Dutra from WLS, our station in Chicago, is in for Samara. He joins us live from Naperville, Illinois. Good morning to you, Greg.
Good morning, Janae. In Texas and Oklahoma, they were the hardest hit last night as that severe weather threat continues today into the Ozarks. Check out this very frightening video. This is flash flooding video out of Moore, Oklahoma, as 5+ inches of rain fell over a very short period of time. Look how violently fast this water is moving. Scarier still because we know that this did indeed turn deadly. Shifting our focus to some of the storms that were out there through Texas. This is really strong tornado video and damage video that we have out of there. The tornado video just outside of Sterling City, Texas, that's incredibly large, at least EF2, if not EF3+, and then 3-inch hail. That's a baseball-size hail reported across portions of Texas. Let's turn our gaze to today because this isn't over just yet. Classic timing on these, which is nice because it'll be during the afternoon and after any of the church services that go on. But from the Ozarks north into central portions of Illinois, you have to be on alert until at least 6 o'clock this evening. Coming up, we'll cover another side of this, not just the hail and the tornadoes, but the flash flooding threat too. Back to you, Gio.
Yeah, you got to be very careful and mindful. Thank you, Greg. We'll check back in with you very soon. Overseas now to Rome and Easter services in Vatican City. The Pope making a short appearance with thousands gathering there in St. Peter's Square. ABC's Marcus Moore is there live this morning. Good morning, Marcus.
Hey, Gio, good morning. You know, it's been a full week of events and ceremonies, all of it leading up to Easter Mass that just wrapped up a short time ago. You may be able to hear the band behind me here at the Vatican. Also, just moments ago, I think we have some video of this. Pope Francis, we saw him passing by in the Pope Mobile, where he greeted the thousands of faithful who have come from all over the world to be here at Vatican City and to celebrate Easter. This morning, as worshipers across the world begin their Easter celebrations in Vatican City, crowds filling St. Peter's Square for Easter Mass in Urbi et Orbi, a papal blessing to the world. Pope Francis appearing at the events and penning this Easter's Urbi et Orbi message. The Pope blessing the crowd and briefly spoke in a low voice, introducing the message before it was read out by the Master of Ceremonies. The Pope's words calling for peace around the world and mentioning almost every conflict on the planet and voicing his support for the acceptance of immigrants. Saturday, the Pope also making a brief, unannounced appearance at St. Peter's Basilica, greeting the faithful and praying before the evening's Easter Vigil. Pope Francis making these and other special appearances this past week after an extended battle with pneumonia. Doctors treating Pope Francis for weeks at Rome's Gemelli Hospital. Now, the Pope on the road to recovery this Easter Sunday as he continues his return to public life. Vice President J.D. Vance visiting Rome on this Holy Week with his wife, Second Lady Usha, and their 3 children.
Hello. So good to see you.
The Vatican press office confirming the Pope had a brief private meeting with Vance this morning, the 2 leaders exchanging Easter greetings.
Bless you.
In a post on X, Vance called it an honor to visit the Vatican during Holy Week and a blessing to experience the beauty and reverence of the Good Friday liturgy at St. Peter's Basilica.
And just a quick word on the Pope's appearances. This was despite many health challenges and also advice from his doctors to slow down. But the Pope wanted to be a part of Holy Week, and you really get a sense of how important this was to him. And guys, you can't overstate how much energy it took and how difficult it has been for the Pope to be a part of this. Guys.
I know, so many eager to see the Pope make that appearance. Marcus Moore for us, thank you. We move now to Washington and the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration and the new challenge to the Supreme Court following a temporary pause on some deportations. ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang joins us with the latest. Selena, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Whit. This is a showdown between the White House and the Supreme Court, with the justices making their decision at rapid speed after the ACLU argued that the administration was trying to rush migrants onto plane and send them to a notorious prison in El Salvador without sufficient due process. This morning, the Trump administration now asking the Supreme Court to roll back its decision to block the deportation of a group of Venezuelan migrants being held at a detention center in Texas under the Alien Enemies Act, a centuries-old wartime law that provides little or no due process. That extraordinary order coming from the highest court shortly after midnight Saturday, just hours after the ACLU raced to file an emergency appeal. The ACLU's lead attorney telling me that migrants received this notice and were told they'd be removed in 12 to 24 hours. The notice says, under the Alien Enemies Act, you have been determined to be an alien enemy subject to apprehension, restraint, and removal from the United States.
We're talking about the administration hurrying people to the plane to send them to this Salvadoran prison without any due process whatsoever.
Among the migrants at that Texas detention center, Jose Gregorio Caldera Perez, seen in this video shared with ABC News, speaking to his girlfriend from the facility on Thursday before the court's ruling. He says there are a lot of us, and every minute more and more Venezuelans keep coming. The majority are Venezuelans. Another man in a jumpsuit seen holding up a piece of paper he says they allegedly have to sign and that they do not know where they might be going. ABC News has reached out to DHS for comment. The paper says Venezuela, but others say it's to El Salvador, so please help us. Caldera Perez's girlfriend telling us he said the paper is only in English and hard to understand, adding that he claims he and a group of detainees were taken to an airport near the facility on Friday and told they were about to be deported. Then he told her once they arrived, an officer informed the group they were being sent back to the center and would not board the plane. Overnight, Justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas releasing their dissent, calling the midnight order unprecedented and legally questionable relief. The Trump administration also arguing that the Supreme Court's block was premature and asking the justices to clarify that its order only stops them from deporting migrants under the Alien Enemies Act and not under other authorities. That's the same act invoked back in March to deport hundreds of Venezuelan migrants to the prison in El Salvador. Among them, Kilmar Abrigo Garcia, a father living in Maryland who was mistakenly sent back to his home country despite a court order barring the move.
He was traumatized by being at CCOT and fearful of many of the prisoners in other cell blocks.
The White House says they're confident they'll ultimately prevail against what they're calling meritless litigation. And it's also another busy week ahead for the Trump administration in the courts, with multiple hearings scheduled focused on the administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act. So in all of these legal cases, Janae, this legal battle is only beginning.
Certainly is. Selena Wang, thank you so much. Let's bring in ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, who will be hosting This Week later this morning. John, thanks for being with us. Let's start with those deportations. Aside from the legal challenges, this is the president making good on campaign promises. So are they helping or hurting the president politically?
Well, the White House certainly likes having this fight. They're portraying Senator Van Hollen, who made that extraordinary trip to El Salvador, as somebody who is standing up for the rights of somebody that the White House calls a violent gang member, an illegal immigrant, and, instead of the rights of American citizens and victims of crime. Van Hollen knows that he's facing that. Democrats know that they're facing that. That framing from the White House. They say it's not accurate. Of course, Abrego Garcia denies, his family denies, his lawyer denies that he is a member of any gang. He does not have any kind of a violent criminal record. But that is the battle on which they are fighting here. And this administration wants to portray the Democrats as a party that defends people that have come into the country illegally and are criminals, and portray Donald Trump as somebody who is trying to send them all away.
John, let's switch gears and talk about tariffs now. The president mentioned a deal being in the works with China, but he wouldn't say to this point whether he's spoken with President Xi. What's your read on this?
Well, yeah, he has said a few times that China is going to make a deal. Look, Janae, I have seen absolutely no indication whatsoever that the Chinese are coming to the table on this. My understanding is over these last couple of weeks since the president announced those new round of tariffs, that there's been almost no high-level contact and almost no contact between the United States and China on this. Now, is it possible President Trump got some call that we don't know about from President Xi? I suppose so. He didn't say that he had gotten that. He was specifically asked, have you talked to President Xi? And he did not respond to that question.
All right, John, thank you so much. And make sure to tune into This Week later. John speaks with Senator Chris Van Hollen about his trip to El Salvador to visit Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man wrongly deported. Plus, Trump administration border czar Tom Homan joins to respond. Gio.
Okay, Janae, Russian President Vladimir Putin declaring an Easter ceasefire in Ukraine. The Russian leader did warn, though, that Russia will respond to any Ukrainian attacks. Ukrainian President Zelensky expressing skepticism, calling the 30-hour truce, quote, yet another attempt by Putin to play with human lives. Russia has previously declared short truces like this, but they're largely seen as just a good optics tactic for the Kremlin. Zelensky did say if a truce does hold, he proposes extending it even further. What?
Gio, now to the mass shooting at Florida State University. Classes are set to resume tomorrow after Thursday's deadly attack, as we learn more about the inspiring stories of recovery from some of the injured. ABC's Faith Abube joins us with more. Faith, good morning.
Good morning to you, Whit. Doctors taking care of the FSU shooting survivors say they're making remarkable strides in their recovery. Case in point, Madison Askins, who was shot from the back. Just take a look at this video her mother sent me this weekend. The grad student who just on Friday couldn't even walk without getting sick. On Saturday, she was already making a lap around the ICU. Separately, another shooting victim was able to go home. And according to hospital spokespeople, the rest of them are all in good condition. The community, though, still reeling from the traumatic scenes that played out on campus after a gunman killed 2 people and injured 6 others on Thursday. University officials say even though their hearts are still heavy, classes will resume tomorrow. They say they know it won't feel like a normal week, but it'll be the last one before finals. As for that suspect, he is still in the hospital recovering, but officials say it is only a matter of time before he's booked into jail on various charges, including murder. Gio.
Okay, Faith, thank you for your reporting on this. Meanwhile, it is a big week ahead for the Supreme Court with 2 major cases this week dealing with the Affordable Care Act and LGBTQ books in classrooms. ABC's Alex Brachet joins us now with the details on this. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Gio, and you're absolutely right. We got a pair of potentially groundbreaking cases here. First, a big decision on Affordable Care Act recipients and their ability to get no-cost preventative care. These are things like statins to lower cholesterol, PrEP medicine to reduce HIV spread, or even medications to lower the risk of breast cancer in women. All of those treatments are on the line. What insurers must cover at no cost is determined by a government task force, and the Supreme Court will essentially decide if that task force is unconstitutional. A group of religious employers have argued that it has too much power as its recommendations can't be reviewed or overridden. More than 150 million Americans rely on no-cost early screenings and chronic condition preventative care. Now, this second case will answer a key question for schools. Do parents of public school children have a constitutional right to opt their kids out of classroom discussions of books with LGBTQ themes? A group of Montgomery County, Maryland parents believe the First Amendment provisions for religion gives them the choice to pull their kids from any instruction on gender or sexuality that they deem counter to their faith. Conservatives see this as a follow-through by the Trump administration, who vowed to give more control back to local school boards. The defendants in this case, members of an elected school board, say education is meant to expose children to a broad mix of people and ideas. Supreme Court could have the final say, and keep in mind that Tuesday is an opinion day. Janae?
All right, we'll be watching that. Alex Perchet in Washington, thank you. NASA astronaut Don Petit is back home here on Earth. Petit, along with 2 Russian cosmonauts, touched down in Kazakhstan Saturday evening. They wrapped up a 220-day mission aboard the International Space Station. Petit, who is now the oldest active duty astronaut in NASA's history, returned to Earth on his 70th birthday. He's now accumulated 590 days in space over 4 missions. Yeah.
That's quite the stat,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's probably a lot of reverse aging, too.
Yeah. By the way, they were moving at 17,400 miles per hour.
Looked it up.
I knew you were going to look that up.
Yesterday.
Yes, very fast.
Thank you for that update.
Very fast.
To NBA playoff action now. 4 games yesterday and 4 on tap today. So let's bring in ABC's Morgan Norwood with all the highlights. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, good morning to you guys. I don't know how many Knicks fans that we have in the studio,
Quite
but
a few.
I swear I could hear them all the way from New Jersey, where I live, in Madison Square Garden. The cheers were that loud. What a night. The NBA playoffs tipping off with comebacks, upsets, and a few early shockers. And look, if Game 1 was any preview, buckle up. This postseason's going to be wild.
From an overtime thriller to a scoring frenzy. This morning, the NBA playoffs are officially on, with the opening round tipping off with 4 Saturday games. At Madison Square Garden, the Knicks looking to set the tone early against the Pistons. But it was Detroit who jumped out front. Tobias Harris putting up 22 points in the first half, including this 3 from deep to tie up the game in the second quarter.
Harris pulls up, three-pointer, got it!
Campaign answering back in the fourth, knotting the score at 98 before the Knicks caught fire. A stunning 20-0 run, sealing the deal for New York. A huge fourth-quarter comeback.
It's a fourth-quarter avalanche for the Knicks.
The Knicks winning it 123-112. Staying in the East, the Indiana Pacers taking full advantage of a shorthanded Bucks squad, rolling to a Game 1 win, 117-98. Milwaukee's missing star guard Damian Lillard, still recovering from a blood clot and expected to return later this series. Pascal Siakam leading the charge for Indiana, finishing with 25 points and 7 rebounds. In Denver, the defending champs picking up right where they left off. The Nuggets taking Game 1 in an overtime thriller over the LA Clippers. Christian Braun coming up clutch, knocking down the dagger 3 to put Denver up 4 with less than a minute to go. And with the game on the line, Russell Westbrook sealing the deal, forcing the turnover with the clock at just 10 seconds in OT. On to the Lakers and Timberwolves.
Reed out to the three-point line. Splash down.
Minnesota taking the lead early. Luka Doncic now suiting up for the purple and gold, shooting this half-court shot to end the third.
Got it to go. Off glass at the buzzer.
LA Laker Luka Doncic. Does that still sound a little bit weird to you?
A little bit.
ESPN's Malika Andrews sitting down with the All-Star after his blockbuster trade. While Luka admits it was a shock.
Crazy shock, and I felt like my heart was broken, honestly.
Doncic dropping 37 points on the Timberwolves in his Lakers playoff debut, but it wasn't enough. The Timberwolves going on to win 117-95.
And again, a big night for Luka, but a tough start for the Lakers. Of course, you can catch more NBA playoff action right here on ABC, starting with the Thunder against the Grizzlies at 1 p.m. Eastern. So going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
Really sad for Luka.
Yeah.
Officially off
He'll
the
come
races.
back.
He will.
I think so. Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate it. Coming up here on GMA, a look ahead to closing arguments this week in the latest trial of convicted killer Lori Vallow Daybell as she defends herself against a conspiracy charge.
And we are live in Japan for the Star Wars celebration, hearing from the stars of, wait, help me with this.
Andor and Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Yes.
And binge this, what you just have to see this weekend. I'm actually going to go see Sinners.
Today?
Yeah, we are.
Ooh.
So binge this with us next here on GMA on this Easter Sunday.
Just feel that. Welcome back to GMA on this Sunday morning. That there is Cynthia Erivo belting out Prince's Purple Rain while performing with the Los Angeles Philharmonic at Coachella. The Academy Award nominee sings 2 songs for the desert crowd. Wow. Coachella wraps up tonight with Post Malone as the final performance of the festival that spans 2 weekends.
Isn't that amazing?
By the way, you know it's good when Janae doesn't sing.
We just gotta
when
hear
she
that
doesn't
one.
sing, this means she's listening, and it's really good. And it's
I'm
good for all
mad
of us.
because he's right.
All right, let's take a look at some of the other big stories that we're following on this Sunday morning. Here, happening right now, U.S. officials saying they are feeling positive after Saturday's high-stakes nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran that took place in Rome. This was the second round of talks as the Trump administration seeks to curb Iran's advancing nuclear program. The two countries agreeing to continue negotiations in the coming days.
Also right now, people taking to the streets in New York, Washington, D.C., Raleigh, Denver, and other cities to protest against Trump administration's policies. Many demonstrating against federal layoffs and the immigration crackdown. This comes 2 weeks after thousands gathered for similar protests nationwide.
And the Oklahoma Sooners women's gymnastics team has done it again. The team winning their 6th national championship Saturday in Fort Worth, Texas. Senior Jordan Bowers, who won the individual all-around title, calling the win, quote, just truly a fairy tale ending. Congratulations
good
to
for them. All right, we do start this half hour with Lori Vallow Daybell, the mother convicted of murdering her own children, now accused of conspiring to kill her estranged husband. Closing arguments in that trial set to begin this week. ABC's Zareen Shah joins us now. And Zareen, she's been acting as her own attorney in this case.
Which she has been, and she did not plan a defense. Now, sometimes this is considered a winning strategy, but the stakes are incredibly high here. Daybell was already convicted of killing her kids, and we will likely know very soon whether a jury believes she plotted with her brother Alex to kill her ex-husband.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have been charged with a crime.
This morning, all eyes are on convicted killer Lori Vallow Daybell as her case is expected to head to closing arguments. Daybell, who is representing herself in court, is anticipated to rest her case Monday without calling any witnesses. Daybell facing a murder conspiracy charge in the 2019 killing of her then-estranged husband, Charles Vallow. During the trial, she drew objections from the prosecution over her cross-examination of Nancy Ho Hancock, a woman who went on a date with Vallow the night before his death.
Do you go on dates with married men? Naturally?
Argumentative. I'm going to also object under 611 for harassment.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
Lori has maintained she is not guilty, instead claiming her brother Alex killed Charles Vallow in self-defense. Alex not around to tell his version of the story because he passed away shortly after from natural causes. Soon after Vallow's death in 2019, Lori started dating Chad, a doomsday predictor who said the world would end in 2020. 6 years ago, Lori's children Tylee and Joshua, known as JJ, went missing. When police questioned the couple about her missing kids, they fled to Hawaii, where they'd gotten married earlier. Tylee and JJ's bodies were found about a year later on Daybell's Idaho property. Chad was found guilty of those deaths and was sentenced to the death penalty. Lori is currently serving a life sentence in Idaho for the murders of the children and conspiracy to murder Chad's wife.
She's already serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole for the deaths of her 2 children and the wife of her current husband. So in the grand scheme of things, doesn't change much.
If Dava follows through with her intended plans, she will rest her case tomorrow, and jury instructions and closing arguments are expected this week, too. Gio.
All right. Thank you so much, Zareen. Appreciate you.
So coming up here on Good Morning America, Eva Pilgrim is live in the Shinbashi neighborhood of Tokyo, Eva, with more on the Star Wars celebration. Hey.
Hey, Janae. Yeah, some big announcements came out of the Star Wars celebration. We'll have all the details of what's next in a galaxy far, far away coming up.
Welcome back to GMA, and Star Wars fans loving the different takes of Andor and Ahsoka are eagerly awaiting more from the 2 series. Eva Pilgrim has been taking it all in at the Star Wars celebration in Japan, talking to the stars of the shows. So how's it going, Eva?
Hey there, Janae. It has been an absolutely incredible weekend for all things Star Wars, and extra special because it's here in Japan, a place and culture that helped to inspire the whole thing.
This is where the fun begins.
You might call it Revenge of the Sith.
There's not much that I can share, but Anakin will be back for season 2.
Anakin Skywalker himself, Hayden Christensen, turning the crowds to the dark side, revealing he will return for the next season of Ahsoka, starring Rosario Dawson.
When you went to pick up the lightsaber again, were you immediately just like, old friend, you could do this again?
I kept a couple of the lightsabers from my prequel days, and every now and then I'd pick it up and give it a spin.
For fans, what do you think they'll be most surprised about in this season?
Well, there's not a lot I can share about season 2 yet. I know, we're very tight-lipped about this stuff. Because we want it to be a surprise for the fans when they watch it, but just the scope and scale of season 2 I think is going to be pretty epic.
Scope and scale.
Yeah.
Big?
Big. Yeah.
You guys are leaving from here to go start filming for season 2.
Yeah, we'll have 4 days actually when we hit the ground, so then start filming.
Reading the scripts that you've got, I know you can't give any secrets away.
Yeah, I also don't even have all the scripts, so I don't even know how it ends.
Is there anything that surprised you so far?
Zeb's gonna be on our show, which I was so excited about, and you know that Hayden's coming back.
Welcome to the rebellion.
From the anticipation of new storylines to the end of another journey, the cast of Andor emotional as they debut their final season.
We care because you care. Thank you so much.
Talk about why it's emotional.
It's emotional because it's been a very intense journey.
If it goes up in the flames, it will burn.
We wanted to connect with this community that cares about what we're doing, because the story matters to us.
Denise, you're so wildly different, like opposite of your character.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Am I? I don't know.
Really? Yeah, sure. Right?
This is the best acting.
Yeah. Kyle, your character loves her.
They both share this obsessive, driven thing. I think in this season you actually start to see that maybe there is a heart underneath all of Cyril's armor.
What are they going to see from you this season?
It'll be an opportunity to see how I was born, where my character came from, and a little bit of who he was probably before he was the K2 that you know. And I'll just leave it there.
He has a journey of his own.
He's a journeyman. He's just a journeyman. I told you when I do this, you take over. Didn't I? I did that, and what did you do? Nothing.
He left you.
He left you hanging.
I have to say that I just forgot about it completely.
It couldn't have been clearer. I totally
We were all doing it.
If he talks, he will give spoilers, and we don't want
Oh, you
audiences.
don't let him. This is your way of saying
This
it.
is, please save me because
Help
I'm
me,
about
help
to.
me. Abort, abort.
Okay, so we were very close to getting a spoiler, but we didn't get a spoiler. We did get an interesting tip, though. You have to remember that Andor is the prequel to the movie Rogue One, and Diego told us he thinks If people watch the second season of Andor and then immediately watch Rogue One, they will see it in a whole new light.
Okay. Wow, because Rogue One was one of those standalones for a while, so now we have all the information leading up to it. So, okay, all right. Sorry, Eva, I just had to get very nerdy on the Star Wars with you here. Yeah, get the glasses. Thank you so much for your coverage
I
of
got
this.
that tip just for you.
Yes, you're the best. Thank you, Eva.
Now on GMA with your Easter weekend edition of Binge This, and we're going. You've been rounding up your picks, so let's start off with the big screen. What do we got to watch for?
Yeah, some important things this holiday weekend, and we will start with The Ballad of Wallace Island. This is the sweetest and most hilarious surprise of a film about a millionaire who stages a private concert on a remote island, reuniting two bandmates who haven't spoken in a decade. It is laugh out loud funny, and after I saw it this week with a couple of friends, we all left the theater saying that it was a great reminder that maybe the world isn't such a dark place after all. So sweet, so funny. Go see it. And then, of course, the other big screen option is Sinners, Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler's music-infused vampire thriller that's sitting at 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. We talked about it yesterday. Many people calling it the best film of the year. And there's a scene in it that I just cannot stop thinking about, uniting black musicians and genres.
Was talking about the same scene.
He saw it?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Friday
different
night,
generations. It's so that scene will just stick in your mind. Yeah, this one is rated R though, so maybe not for the whole family, but worth seeing it on the biggest screen that you can.
I'm seeing it today because of you.
Happy Easter to you, a vampire thriller to
yes,
celebrate.
That's right. Exactly. It's perfect.
Worth it though.
All right.
Sure.
So, Will, what about shows to catch up on for those who want to just sit on the couch this weekend?
Two comedies you have to check out. Hacks is back on HBO. The Emmy-winning comedy series returns for its fourth season, and somehow Gene Smart and Hannah Einbinder continue to get better and better. The first 3 episodes of season 4 are out now, and the Frenemies are working on getting Deborah's late night show off the ground. So good. And then another incredible TV option is The Studio, starring Seth Rogen, all about what goes on behind the scenes in Hollywood. He plays a studio exec, and in episode 1, he's tasked with recreating the success of the Barbie movie, but this time with the Kool-Aid Man. It's hilarious and star-studded. Kathryn Hahn, Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara, Martin Scorsese, and so many more acting in this. The first few episodes are out now on Apple TV.
Gio was just telling us about this in the break before you came out.
Yeah.
And Martin Scorsese, he is so funny in this.
It's incredible. I've never really seen him act before, and he does a great job. And I think for you guys too, working in the industry, you'll be like, I sort of recognize that personality type.
Funny.
Yeah, very funny.
All right, and what about for families in the Easter and springtime spirit?
All right, a bunny binge, if you will. First up, gotta talk Zootopia on Disney+. Our girl Judy Hopps is a police officer tasked with solving a mysterious case. Plus that incredible Shakira song.
Oh, yeah.
Try everything. Isn't it? Yeah. Thank you.
And I've seen the movie a few times.
Yeah, it's a good lead up to Zootopia 2, which comes out later this year. Or finally, check out Migration, which is streaming on Netflix. Perfect for Easter because it's about a family of ducks migrating to Jamaica, and perfect for anyone missing The White Lotus because the screenplay is by Mike White.
Oh, wow.
What? Please, these ducks, they're trying to murder me.
Tsunami.
Tsunami.
Oh, God.
Breadcrumbs. Duckism.
Hey, I knew. See, if we just don't talk, he just keeps going.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's right.
To unplug me. Power down. Mute.
The bunny binge. Thank you so much, Will.
It is time now for Play of the Day, and Will is back. Never actually left.
They couldn't get me out.
Sticking around.
Security tried, and it was.
Do not take this chair.
All right, some extra levity for your Easter Sunday morning. A new trend on TikTok has racked up tens of millions of views on social media. Parents saying, "I'm so hungry, I could eat a kid," and recording their kids' reactions. Take a look.
I'm so hungry right now, I could eat a kid.
I'm so hungry, I can eat a little kid.
Which one?
I'm so hungry, I could eat a kid.
Do I look like food?
So that last kiddo is 3-year-old Nova, and her mom tells me she has to stop trying these TikTok trends because Nova is good at setting her boundaries and totally unafraid to check her mom in 4K.
Super cute.
I love that. Thank you so much for
Do I look like food?
Happy Easter, everybody.